This is From Courtroom to Carline, the podcast where we discuss life as a lawyer and a parent.
I'm Rick.
And I'm Jenna.
Your host and partners both in the courtroom and in parenting.
Join us as we navigate the fascinating worlds of life as a parent and a lawyer. Get ready for a roller coaster ride where law meets love and where the gavel meets the car line. This is From Courtroom to Carline, a legal parenting podcast, and today we have my very good friend, Shaquana Harper Sewell. She is an insurance defense attorney, but we originally met at the public defender's office in Pinellas County. Prior to that, she was a public defender in Hillsborough County. Welcome to the show, Shaquana.
Yay, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So good to see you both.
Welcome to the show, Shaquana.
So I am so happy that you are on. You are a new mom to an 8-month-old daughter. So how has the mom life been going?
It's been going. I feel like, it's been a journey, but I really enjoy being a parent. I know it's kind of difficult. People say the newborn stage, but I've enjoyed it. I'm tired, but I like it.
What has been the most rewarding part so far of being a new mom?
I think for me, when I had the baby, I really wanted to have a baby. So I was just ready. And having her has just been just watching, her little personality come through. Like now she's waving and clapping. And every day I just feel like she's just getting more and more personality. Like yesterday, she's starting to shake her head and she really means no. I think they teach her like no, or she knows it. So I just think she's just so cute and funny.
So how long have you been back to work now, and how long did you get to take for maternity leave?
I literally got 12 weeks for maternity leave. I think I took an additional week. So I went back to work when the baby was 3 months. She went to daycare at 4 months. So it was a tough transition.
For you or for the baby? Or both?
I think both, because everyone says the baby will get like attached to you maybe 4 or 5 months. I really feel like the baby was born super attached to me. I don't know what it is, but she just, from the moment she came out, it's just been like, I love mommy, 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 mommy. So it was, and she definitely has stranger danger. So she's not a friendly baby, but yeah. But she likes the people at the daycare now. She loves them, so that's good.
Can you already tell whether or not she's a mommy's girl or a daddy's girl?
Right now, she's definitely a mommy's girl, but I can definitely see it switching at some point. But for now, she's just loving mommy. If I walk out the room, she's screaming.
Shaquana, do you wish that you had more time off in the beginning to spend with her rather than, having to put her right in daycare?
Yeah, so that's been the hardest thing with the whole mommying thing. It was way too quick. She was only 3 months, 4 months when she went, because the first month I kept her home and I had like a college student come help me during the day when I would have like hearings, depots, that type of thing for work. But it was just entirely too quick. I felt like I needed more time. I still feel like I wish she was here with me.
I remember, when we had our first two, I got 3 months off and then had to go back to work. Obviously, you were there for that. And then with our third, I actually was at this, still at the public defender's office, and I had asked for an additional, couple of months off. So I ended up getting about 5.5, 6 months with our last child, and I still felt like that wasn't enough. But that's the struggles we have as working parents. But that the detachment of having to take them to daycare is definitely hard thing to do.
And I've always wondered, who came up with the 3-month rule for maternity leave? Why was it decided that 3 months is what it's going to be and that's it and that's the norm? Because I know in other countries it's longer than that. Some countries give you up to a year almost. So I always wondered, why was 3 months that hard rule for maternity leave? It just doesn't really make sense, especially being, seeing what we see as parents and the attachment like you talked about.
Yeah, and it's too soon, I think. A baby at 3 months is still so young. But we do what we have to do.
So I know that one of the things that we also have in common is the sleep issue. So how have you been doing with that? Does your daughter sleep good? Is she not such a great sleeper? How's that been for you?
She wants to sleep with us. I feel like she just knows what she wants. So I really wanted her to sleep in the crib. I had these grand dreams of every morning, waking up, seeing the baby in the crib, picking her up, good morning, not being with her the entire night, but that never happens. So usually the way she sleeps is I'll put her down because she really thrives if we put her down around 7:30. So I'll put her in her crib at like 7:30. She'll sleep till about 11, 12 o'clock in the crib. After that, it's like, nope, nope, nope. You cannot settle her back down. Or maybe I'm just too tired and she knows that. So she just comes in the bed with us. And then once she gets in the bed with us, she sleeps again till about 6 o'clock. She wakes up probably one more time still, maybe some nights, but she'll sleep till about 6 or 7. So she sleeps 12 hours. It's just that she's not going to sleep in her crib 12 hours, and she's going to wake up one time because when she wakes up at that 11, 12 o'clock, she wants to eat again. And I saw online, oh, that only happens for like 3 months, da 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 da. No, my baby's 8 months and she's still waking up. She's still waking up once. So I was like, I don't know if it's me or online has just made me feel like something's wrong here, but I don't know.
Our 3 and 5 year olds still wake up nightly, still come searching for us to sleep in the bed. And it's funny. So we when we first had our first son, I thought the same thing too. I need the nicest bassinet. He's gonna sleep next to me. It's gonna be great. Oh, we don't want to co-sleep. Oh no, we just co-slept, and then baby number 2 and 3, I didn't even get a bassinet again. It was just straight to the co-sleeping. So I hear you on that. I mean, mommies have to sleep. If we're not sleeping, we're not going to be doing good at our job and good with our husbands, and so anything we can do to get that sleep.
Exactly.
I think with your first, you have these grand plans of what sleeping's going to be like and your baby sleeping, and then you decorate the nursery, you paint the walls, you get the nice crib or the bassinet with the mobile, and you get this, that, the blanket, thinking, oh, it's just going to be so tranquil and peaceful. And, 9 times out of 10, the baby doesn't even sleep in that room that you put so much work into. So it's funny how things go that way.
Let's change gears for just a moment. So obviously we met at the public defender's office. We tried criminal, cases together, but eventually you made the switch to go to an insurance defense firm. Tell our listeners what made you choose to make that switch.
So I like the public defender's office and I like that type of work. But I think when I was leaving, I was just burned out. I had some big cases. It just seems like it was just becoming a lot. And plus, on top of that, I wasn't making that much money. So it was a money thing and feeling like, hey, I need a little bit more. I don't want to say support, but I think at the end it was just becoming a lot. Like the cases were getting bigger. I didn't feel like, hey, I got everything I need to succeed to, do what I need to do. And on top of not being paid, it's just difficult. It was a hard choice. So I just eventually decided, hey, let me try to transition into civil. And that was the first thing that came up was insurance defense.
How was it to learn a new area of law? Because you had been at the public defender's office for 7, 8 years.
Yeah, I had been a public defender for 6 years. So by the time I transitioned, it really isn't that difficult. I think if you're a lawyer, you can practice law. It is, it's different. Like as a public defender, you guys know you don't do a lot of discovery, which is basically answering questions as to how something took place. So that was like a little bit of a change. And in civil, everything is just drug out. So it's like, you're prepping for trial. You have to have all of your emotions, everything done well before the trial begins. So it's just a little bit different in the practice area, but if you can practice law, you can practice law.
So one of the things that I noticed when you were at the public defender's office is that you and Jenna tried a lot of cases together, and it seemed like whenever, because I would be watching Jenna and knowing whether or not she's in trial, and you were always her partner. So why was it that you guys made such a great team together? What kind of drew you guys together as a team?
I think Jenna is so just courageous, and I just like that energy. Like she's like, yeah, we can try this case, we can do it, and that was just so inspiring for me. I'm still looking for my Jenna in civil. I've never found them. Don't know where they are. I'm missing Jenna. It's, and I will say having that work best friend just changes your day in and day out of work. Like, maybe I would like, I don't dislike my job, but I probably would like it more if I had me and Jenna. Jenna is just amazing. I feel like you can be a verb. Like, I don't know, like a Jenna, like a verb. I don't know, but you're amazing. She just had good energy. And it was just like, hey, let's try this case. We can go in there. I would be nervous. Oh, no, you got this. And we would just do what we needed to do, no matter who was like, oh, maybe you guys shouldn't. It's just, she was fearless. And I think that type of energy, and it's magnetic. It makes you feel like you can do anything in the world.
And Shaquana, thank you so much for all of the kind words. But honestly, you were a huge support at the public defender's office. You obviously are a phenomenal trial attorney. And I think your energy, we matched each other's energy. It was just good to be in trial with somebody that you were on the same page with, that, knew exactly what you were trying to do, that was after the same outcome. And it was just good to have somebody, like you said, at the office that you could talk about your dreams, your goals, your aspirations. I was devastated when you left because, I lost my trial partner, the person that I would have those conversations with in the office about, where were we going to go next. But it was definitely a phenomenal experience. Obviously, God brought us together for a reason, and we've stayed in touch since then. So that's been great. I was thinking about one of the trials that we had done together. It was your trial. I don't remember the facts exactly. You probably remember them more, but it was a gentleman that shot his gun. I don't know if there was an issue with cheating or whatever it may be, but I remember at some point the state attorney got on the floor trying to reenact this scene. We start, freaking out. It's like, are we going to win this? There was a lot of pressure. There was the 10-20 life issue that I'll have Rick explain what 10-20 life is. But ultimately, we secured him in not guilty. And it was just, we were nervous the whole time, but I think that just the positivity that we kept up throughout that trial was necessary. Do you remember the trial that I'm talking about?
I remember the whole thing. And I remember like our client wanting to get on the stand. And literally, I think what you're talking about, the prosecutor getting on the ground, he wanted to reenact what happened. My client allegedly had pistol whipped this man who was sleeping with his wife. And so he wanted to reenact the whole scene. So my client's like, oh, yeah, he was kind of macho. And I'm like, oh, my God. I was so nervous. But I feel like any other public defenders would have shut it down. But we just kind of let it happen. Obviously we prepped the guy, but I just feel like taking that risk. I don't know another lawyer I could have taken that type of risk with and got that type of reward with. So I know you're going to like 10-20 life.
Yeah. So Rick, why don't you tell our listeners what 10-20 life is?
Sure. So, Shaquana, you talk about risk. And if you go to trial on a gun case where the state is alleging that you committed a certain type of crime, like an aggravated battery, that's usually the one they pick, and use a gun and you actually possess that gun, then if you lose, you automatically get 10 years in prison day for day, and the judge has no discretion whatsoever to give you less than that. So that's kind of the risk that you take when you have a case like that involving a firearm, involving a case like aggravated battery. Then if you lose, then you're almost assuring that your client's going to at least do 10 years, if not more. So I'm glad you guys came out on top on that one because there was a lot riding on that case.
Right. And the client was adamant. We didn't like push the client. The client wanted to fight it. But I think just him testifying and us prepping him, it was a good case. I remember it. Yeah.
So on the civil side, obviously we tried lots of cases on the criminal defense side. On the civil side, do you try a lot of cases? Is it trial driven?
It's not at my particular firm. I do think some civil firms try more cases. So it's not, but I don't want to say it's all civil firms. I just think my firm does not try a lot of cases. But I would like to try cases if we tried more.
Do you think that it's a huge difference, or do you think that, your experience as a criminal trial lawyer, has helped you in this, event that you do need to go to trial in the civil world?
I do because I think once a part of it is skill, just learning how to cross examine, learning how to direct, learning how to do an opening, closing. Now, obviously, like for me, I deal with a lot of medical information. So that's been a learning curve, just learning the medical terminology, learning, the different injuries. And you have experts in criminal, but in civil, it's usually a battle of the experts. So when I say experts, I mean doctors, accident reconstructionists, engineers, those type of people. So you're dealing with professional experts, which is a little bit different. So civil, like that case, I mean criminal, the case you and I were just talking about, it was exciting. Like his wife was cheating on him. People, it's just drama. Like people get more into it. And civil, it's kind of sleepy. So it's like, what's going on? You got, your back hurts, this hurts, and it's very expert driven. So it's not as exciting, but at the end of the day, these are people's lives. They're saying, "Hey, I've been injured," or in my case, they've been injured. They're wanting to recover money for the injury. So it can still be exciting, but it's never, for me, it won't ever be as exciting as criminal was.
I hear you. And you're totally right. Criminal is it's sexy, it's exciting, it's fun. Obviously, people's lives are at stake in terms of their liberty, but it's definitely never a dull moment for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
So one of the things that I saw in terms of a moment that you've had in which, your work life and your mom life has kind of intersected is when you had to bring your baby to mediation. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we live in Florida and it's been a bunch of hurricanes lately. So her school was closed. So I still but my job was still open. People were still doing mediations. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna cancel. I'll just bring the baby. She did great. I tried my best to make her, go to sleep and I held her the whole time, but I definitely had her in my lap as I did the mediation. As working moms and dads, we just have to do what we have to do.
Correct. And so I think I've told this story before on the podcast, but our oldest, I had to bring to a deposition one time, and he slept through the first couple of witnesses, but then he woke up
He was probably what, 6 months?
6 months old. Yeah, and he was sleeping in his the carrier when he woke up during that last witness. And the reason I had him is because he wasn't feeling well. We couldn't take him to daycare. And so I had to hold him the whole time while I was asking questions. And so I feel you in terms of, having your young child there in a work setting like that. It can be challenging, but sometimes you just got to power through.
I
Exactly.
think it's good that a lot of employers are more understanding of working parents, especially, once your daughter gets to the age of, elementary school, middle school. Sometimes schools are closed. I get that they have teacher and service days. I'm not really sure what those are, but it's hard when you're a working parent that you have to still go to work and find childcare. But I will say, I think that a lot of employers are very understanding. I know that your boss has young children as well, so that also helps that they can relate to all of the things that come up, the doctor's appointments, the child having to go home sick. Has your employer been understanding of you having a new baby?
I would say so, yeah, for sure. They have been understanding. And a lot, the daycare, my baby's in daycare, so for the most part it's open, but it's just, for any reason, a hurricane is closed. She has doctor's appointments. I never knew how much little babies had to go to the doctor, so it's like a lot of appointments. But I definitely think they've been understanding.
One of the things that you had mentioned on the sheet that we go over is that you have not you didn't know how much you were going to have to worry about poop. And when I was reading that, it was just so funny because it's so true. Are they pooping? Are they not pooping? What color is the poop? And it's like, I didn't know that this was going to be such a thing.
How many times?
Right.
Me neither. Yeah, I'm like, hey, how many? My mom was keeping the baby once, and I'm like, did the baby poop today? And in the beginning, I breastfed her for the first 6 months, so I was like, always. I don't know why. It was just between the breastfeeding, the poop. I just was so concerned about it all, and I'm like, I have never in my life cared about another individual's poop as much as I do now.
Shaquana, you brought up your mom. So she has recently moved closer to you. Is that correct?
Yeah, so really within the last week, because it's just my husband and I, and my husband, it's just him and I. So I really wanted to have a village, someone here to help us. So she moved. And it was, I'm just thankful. I'm ready to get her settled so we can do something. We can go on a date night. I think it'll just be nice to have a grandparent
And
here.
that's, we completely understand because we don't have, help here. Sometimes my mom will come down from Maine or we'll head up there and it gives us that time. But you're so right. It's you need that time away because
Hmm.
being a mom and a working mom is full time and sometimes your spouse, doesn't get the attention that they need or that you both need. So how has that been? How have you and your husband Paul been able to, find that time together?
I don't know that we're finding it. She's only 8 months, so I'm gonna be honest. It's really been like the baby show. I'll just, we did one weekend. We took my mom was in Orlando. Now she's here in the Tampa Bay area. But one weekend she went to Orlando, so we hung out that weekend. And a couple of weeks is our anniversary, so we do have a trip planned where we're gonna leave the baby while we go out of town, which even then I kind of wanted to bring the baby, but my husband's like, no,
It's
the baby
I know
stay.
I am more of the we're gonna bring our kids wherever we go. Rick's like we can leave them just for us time, and I'm like I don't know if I'm ready to do that.
I know. I'm a little worried about it.
So I think, our oldest is 7. I don't think there's been one night where Jenna has been away from them.
No,
And
I just
Really?
yeah. I mean I think too also we don't really have that person that we can keep them with. Obviously, my mom when she comes down, but it's like I'm not gonna rent a hotel room or an Airbnb just for the night. I don't know. I want to be home with them. I want to embrace the times with them. I will say, sometimes I'm like, why can't I break away? But I'm just in the moment where I'm trying to just take full advantage of this time with them when they're so little.
And it goes so quick, I will say, because I really feel like I know my baby's only 8 months, but I vividly can just, it feels like yesterday I was in the hospital having the baby. So it just goes so quick. But I spent a lot of time with my grandma growing up, so I really kind of want that for my baby too. Um, just because it's just different. Like I feel like it's just like a different type of love.
it's interesting that you can recognize that it goes so quick at the stage that you're in with her being 8 months, because I feel like with our first, it went quick, but we weren't aware of it. We were just trying to get through, trying to figure things out, because he was kind of difficult, cried a lot, and so there were times where I, couldn't just take a step back and appreciate the moment. So the fact that you can be aware
Yes.
that it goes quick at the stage that you're in is definitely a good thing, and it'll help you, I think.
Thank you.
Yes. What is something that you do for yourself, even if it's just quick, short, quick, but just to kind of, regroup and find yourself?
So this may not be much, but I definitely shower by every day. And I feel like I read online, like moms are like, oh, I haven't showered in days. That may have happened once or twice to me in the very beginning where I missed a day. But it's just like, I feel like that 10 minutes is literally because Shiloh is my baby is such a mommy's girl and she's touching me all day. So that 10 minutes of like I'm not working, I'm not because it got to be quick. I'm not gonna say I'm in the shower for like 35, like it's quick, 10 minutes, but it's just what I need just to kind of regroup. And then if I have extra time, I'll do like a skincare routine. So that doesn't happen like every day. But the shower, I am like adamant about. And hopefully it becomes more later, but for now, I'll take it.
That's so funny because I am the same way. That's the one thing that I need on a daily basis to kind of recharge. So I totally feel you.
I think for me, like once our kids are a little bit older than your daughter, but I still like to read, right? So I'll take a book and I'll just sit on the couch and read, and the kids are just going crazy, and Rick's doing what he has to do to and entertain them. And he's like, how can you just sit there and read? It's like, this is my time. I just need my mind to go elsewhere and not focus on the chaos that's happening right now. But I can definitely read in the midst of chaos just to have that moment of not dealing with, the kids and whatever they're doing at the moment.
And I think with the shower, I can't do what she does. I need to be in another room, completely separated and like off limits for me to enjoy, that moment of, peace and quiet. So,
I'm like you, Rick. I need to be by myself.
yeah.
And like I close the door, I'm like, please, just no one come in here. I don't know what I'm gonna do when she's more mobile, but for now, this is
Yes.
good.
Shaquana, have you been reading any books lately or any podcasts lately? What have you been tuning into on any time that you might have?
So I recently read Ketanji Brown Jackson's book. I listened to it rather. It was super good. I really enjoyed it. I have been listening to audiobooks. So I've been reading anything that I can, or listening to anything I can get my hands on. Some of them I really like. The one that's coming to mind that I read the last book I listened to was called Yellowface. It wasn't that great. The book before, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like amazing. The book before that was the Ketanji Brown Jackson, the Supreme Court Justice book, which I really loved, her autobiography. So that's what I've been doing, listening to books, podcasts. So since I left the public defender's office, I am super into crime podcasts. So like Crime Junkie, it's one I can't even think of. True Crime Obsessed is the name of it. And it's just like I'm constantly listening to crime podcasts, which I probably need to stop because I'm thinking like, is someone going to come abduct me? Like, like.
It's funny when you were at the public defender's office, you actually got me onto podcasts, and it was what was Serial? No,
Serial,
was
that's
it
it.
Serial? I did not really know what
Yeah,
podcasts were,
yeah.
but we definitely got in on that. So
I love podcasts, and I'm glad you guys have a podcast.
yes, well, Shaquana, we have loved having you on. We're gonna go into our next segment of what happened to Florida Man. We're gonna have you on for that, so stay tuned, okay?
So today in this segment for What Happened to Florida Man, we've got a man in 2018 who gave cops a dash cam video that showed he didn't cause a wreck. That's what he was intending to show. But he didn't realize that the video showed him committing a burglary to a store. So he gives the body cam to law enforcement. It backfires, obviously. He pleads guilty shortly thereafter and is sentenced to 24 months of probation and $900 in restitution to Sally's Beauty Supply, 6 hours of anger management, and then he actually served 33 days in jail for this. So, it makes me think and, reflect on how body cam has really changed the way we practice criminal law. Before body cams were really implemented, I want to say probably 2022 is when most agencies started to roll them out. It was always a matter of who do I believe more in court? Is it the police officer? Is it our client? Is it these, witnesses? Who do I believe more? And when we have things like motions to suppress or trial, it's a tough call. And most people in our line of work and what we see, they want to believe the police officer because that's what they were raised. They were raised to believe the police. So it's really an uphill battle. Now with body cam,
or even in this case, dash cam, where the client actually had his own evidence.
Yes. So, with body cam, with dash cam, it clears all that confusion up. It's no longer who do I believe more? Did this person consent to search, or did this person admit to this particular crime? You look at the video, the jury can make a call. So it's really changed the way criminal law is practiced. Doing civil defense, how has body cam and dash cam sort of impacted the way you practice and how it affects your cases?
So it can be very helpful, especially because I'm on the defense side. So usually I'm saying, my client isn't at fault if it's a liability issue. So in all Teslas, for example, they all record. So if you have an accident with a Tesla, you should be able to get some type of recording. Usually by the time I get the cases, any cameras that are on the street, we've already missed that by the time they come to me. But if I do have dash cam or a video, it does help, especially to show if my client is saying he's not at fault. Um, the other day, this is not really related, but the other day I saw a video of someone backing into a car trying to say they were rear-ended, but they didn't realize the person had dash cams. So I'm like, everyone these days has cameras. You just got to be careful.
Yes, and everyone needs to realize that more and more people are having cameras too. So, it's going to be easier to tell if you're fabricating or not. So, well, that's great information for our listeners to know, in the civil world on accidents. But Shaquana, thank you so much for coming on our show today. We've had a blast talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I've enjoyed it. It's always a pleasure. You guys have a good day and keep up all this great work. I love it.
Yes.
Thank you, Shaquana. It was great to see you.
That was another episode from Courtroom to Carline, a legal parenting podcast.